Looking for the spot. So welcome everyone to our B2B session. So you may wonder why we made a special session for B2B. 3 key takeaways. First, it's a very important part of our business. 2, it's performing very well compared to other peers. And 3, we believe we have a trajectory and the right to accelerate revenues and profitability. We're going to make the presentation together. I will do an intro from the group perspective, but my colleagues will be the ones really delivering the content. So the Flywheel is also performing in B2B, and it will continue to accelerate. Cloud, IoT, security, the typical suspects are the opportunities. There are specific segments opportunities, like Srini mentioned yesterday, in particular areas where we are the right to compete and the right to win. Transformation is happening end-to-end, in the delivery, in the go-to-market, digitalization, scale is being leveraged, and T-Systems is becoming a differentiator. And Ferri will cover that in a minute. What we are today, we are 20% of the company is B2B. If you look at if you exclude T-Mobile US, where it's close to 40% of the company is B2B, so it's a very important part of the business. Today it's growing at 3% blended with all the areas together. Germany is in transformation, as Srini explained yesterday. B2B in Europe, accelerated growth is already happening, and Elvira will introduce how to sustain it. And T-Systems, we like to call it the trajectory after a turnaround. It's just, flying, and Ferri will cover that. And as we heard yesterday as well, T-Mobile US, it's gaining share, profitable share. So we are organized, with the different units, as you may be familiar with. There is strong collaboration between Germany and T-Systems, and we have a lot of capabilities in our footprint. If the left side, which is more the European part, we have 5 million accounts, 80% of the champions in the industries we're serving. Number 2 provider, leading customer satisfaction. T-System with strong capabilities in AI and cloud. We're the first quadrant in the SD-WAN and cybersecurity in terms of the magic quadrants that we use all the time in B2B. We have a lot of megawatts in data center capacity, employees on the footprint, and also remote to stay competitive. So we have a very amazing setup. It's unique, and it's performing as we just indicated, and we stay very, very committed to our principles of customer centricity also in B2B, whether it's partnership, whether it's really being there with maximum quality, whether it's being very close to their issues, and we do it with the best team also in B2B. Let me just go back to the opportunity again. If you look at the addressable market that we as telcos compete in B2B, you have the connectivity part, but you also have the IT addressable part. And there, excluding some of the areas in which the systems also competes, we see a very, very high single-digit growth, and this is for the footprint where we operate. And you can see connectivity growing at 2%. Yes, not a lot of growth, but on the IT part, it's double-digit, whether it's business application, security, cloud, or IoT. And this is because our customers are actually transforming themselves with more digitalization. They are decentralizing and using more software as a service. There's more cloudification, there is more resilience issues, there is more security issues, and they are actually operating more and more globally. So the same thing we see as ourselves as a company, our customers also have the same challenges. And all of this is driving massive opportunity for our telco services in B2B. We're in good track. There is a lot of transformations that are needed in the industry to be able to compete well. We're not perfect in everything, but we're in good track in many of them. And here you have a lot of front tools, whether it's on connectivity, only to be able to speak about all the services I just mentioned, or to go from, really embrace the change, the technology change that the customers are going through on software as a service, on IoT, on solutions, on cloud and security, as I mentioned before. Ability to have a conversation on connectivity, but also on IT. working together, ability to implement as a service models with variable payment systems, and ability to be very automated end-to-end. All of this is happening. We have very good examples of this case, and they will indicate a few of them. So we have a good track, and that's why the numbers are already in the good direction. Let me just go back to the flywheel one more time. So the big themes that are driving the B2B strategy. Number one on the top right. We are helping our customers modernize their connectivity. From MPLS to SDX, from copper to fiber, from voice to UCC or CPaaS, and from traditional service to new 5G services. We're not afraid of going through the challenge of helping our customers move from A to B and embrace change. Avoid the incumbent mentality and really disrupt and help the customer. And we have really good examples. Elvira for sure will comment on them. The top right, we're unlocking segment potentials, as Srini indicated yesterday, many good examples. On the middle part, we're doubling down on IT services. On the right part, radically transforming our go-to-market and delivery, collaborating more, and also strengthening our portfolio, our foundations with people, quality orientation, and entrepreneurship. We are working together more and more with business identities, T-Business, T-Systems, and T-Mobile for Business. T-System is a differentiator, and Ferri will cover that. And the collaboration between the different business units is happening more and more. On the right side, I have a few examples. On IoT, very strong collaboration between Europe and the US, delivering already good numbers and more to come. Multinationals, account management, more to come as well, but we already start to be much better on this area. Tech Fund is an area that is going to be very focused on B2B services. And Network APIs that has been mentioned, it's a global alliance in which we're collaborating with many operators, and we're definitely being a leader partner in this alliance. The numbers that go forward is we're talking about a 5% service revenue growth, more in IT than in connectivity, but both of them growing, and very important, profitability growth higher than service revenue growth. It's not about growth, it's about profitable growth. You will see the details in the next presentations. I just want to leave you with a message that we continue to differentiate, we deliver from good to great, and we have an opportunity to make it also as well in B2B compared to maybe others that are struggling a bit more than us. I'm going to pass it over now to my colleague, Ferri, to continue.
Thank you. Good morning. So it's not that long ago that I was sitting next to Klaus in Srini's team in the German organization, and I'm not just mentioning that for the reason that collaboration is on a separate and a different level when we work together here on the couch, but it's also that I could experience something I learned very early in SAP with a guy like Dietmar Hopp or Hasso Plattner, what the customer means. And when you, Tim, talk about customer obsession, that's something that you can never ever learn better than by being a part of the front line of a service organization, which I have been for the last 8 years. If you go to a shop like here in Köln and see, if you would leave the shop in Köln and you would ask the lady, how was the service? And you would say, good. She would come back to us and would say, what did I do wrong? Why was that not outstanding? Why was that not excellent? And that's another example of, like Srini, you have given yesterday, the experience of Terence being in the field force where we go the extra mile. And that going extra mile, it's also important in the B2B market. It's about customers. Now, let's start to think about what that would mean for B2B, but also what role can T-Systems play in that. We heard from you, Tim, yesterday that T-Systems is an incremental part of the B2B play here amongst us. And we heard from you, José, that T-Systems can be a differentiator. I would like to structure that along 3 points. The first one, to become an incremental part, is we need to deliver our numbers, and most primarily, we want to contribute to our growth here in B2B. And we are going to do that. That's chapter 1. Chapter 2 is T-Systems is also the one who is the bridge into the external market. And many questions you have had on AI and how can we make also top-line growth with it, I will touch on in a second, because that's where we can differentiate with our know-how, people and platforms on the cloud area, but also on the AI area. And the third chapter is then, how do we as a team make B2B growing? These 3 chapters, let's structure very simple, and let's start with a little bit of a review. What did I catch beginning of the year? And that talks then into where are we with the numbers, and then I come into the differentiation part. So the company has done a good turnaround with a good trajectory that's going to be continued also this year. And this was done by focus. It was focused on the business model and the portfolio, and we did focus purely on IT. And we do then the ICT play together with Klaus, and that gives then us a differentiator to the market, and I come to that. We did also say focus on the regional spread, and we did focus on DACH and some selected geographies. We did focus from an industry point of view on those industries where we have a right to play and that are growing. And we also looked at our 2 legs, 1 cloud, 1 digital, to make them strong and to make them grow again. That all said, with a lot of caveat in terms of improving processes, also optimizing our sales and G&A costs, brought us into a game that you can see over the course of the last 4 years, back into the game where we are growing 4%. I think this is a good number, and that's a good challenge also to be continued. But more importantly, we are back in terms of cash positivity, so we are not relying, so to speak, on other people's money, also not from our brothers and sisters, and we need to keep it that way. Therefore, efficiency is key, and you will see my commitment is clearly, we will continue to grow in the vicinity of 3 to 4% on revenue, but we will even more so grow the profitability. Now that said, this is a good trajectory, and by that we could tick mark and can tick mark then also the commitments that we were given at your last meeting back in 2020. There is one except, and that's the radical transparency I want to share with you, which is the IDC cost. Now one could say, look, in the people business that we are on the digital side, you have to grow revenue by having people. And that makes you then also probably increasing the ITC cost. And you could moan about, is that not something that should not be clustered under ITC as it is revenue related? I'm saying no. It's good that we have that challenge, because we want to also grow the revenue by not in the same way increasing our labor costs. And that's done by more radical automation and even more radical offshoring. I'll come to that. So that's the area where we still have to improve until next time. What's the look forward? So when you come new into the game, you do a 360 on what you find. I did a 360. And I started talking to the people. Talk to the people, to the customer, then you know what to do. This gives you the best strategy. And the one asset that I find in T-Systems overwhelming is the customer. We have the who is who of the fortunes, not just in Germany, but also in Europe. The Daimlers, the Shells, the Heinekens, the BATs, the Lufthansas, and so on and so forth. If you talk to them, and I did talk to them, I asked them, why Telekom, why T-Systems? They all shared with me a very personal view, which is, on the one hand side, you are big enough to accompany us on the worldwide journey, on our way to digitize. But you are still approachable or agile enough that we can catch you. And that starts from the top. And that was also the case when I was in the consumer business, that we say every customer counts. That makes our DNA. If we say in Tim's agenda that we are leading and that we are customer obsessed, that goes for the field service, that goes for the shops, but that also goes for us on the B2B side, that we really care about each customer. And we have the infrastructure, we have the base to do so. From an IT point of view, there is the cloud side, which correlates also to data centers. We did reduce our data center footprint to really top-notch data centers around the globe, 16 in total. All of them are green. All of them have a good PUE, efficiency factor of 1.2. They are good enough to go with every customer on the worldwide basis. And where we have to expand, and you heard Tim yesterday, we are going to look for 5 more. And we are not going to put that into CapEx. We are doing that quite smart with our friends from DT Capital, who can bring us partners that invest in concrete, then invest their CapEx into that, where we then can have being rented in and so on and so forth. So we are good here positioned from a data center point of view. And probably one of the most hidden secrets I just share with you, we sit on 1.5 million CPUs, and part of that is also GPUs. And that's a power play we can do also for AI. Because AI, and Jonathan and you, Claudia, talked about, comes with compute power. And we are well equipped for that play. So that was a good finding, and we also increased our offshore rate, 10,000 people from 26,000, and I'm going to see, we want to even increase that. We want to come to 50-60% offshore minimum in the next years. That said, I found a quite sound strategy and also quite sound structure. When we say plan, build, run here, we mean that we can accompany a company like Shell in what's the strategy for the digitization. That's the advisory part. And we can also realize that in the application side with standard or individual application suite, and we can run it. And that all wrapped around the security that I'm sharing with Klaus as one force. And of course, also his connectivity makes us a good team. And here's a concrete example why this IT play becomes also a good lever into an ITC play. We just recently, the two of us, Klaus and me, we did with Shell a 25 million contracts on connectivity. That's because we are the biggest supplier on Shell on IT, and we got the trust. But we haven't really asked for all these things, and that's something that is changing, which makes our B2B play a different one, and that is because we differ from an Accenture and others as we have that connectivity. And Klaus differs as we have that cloud and AI power through us. So there's a lot on the right side that was written as a strategy that I can tick. I put 4 things more on the map. One is quality. And you talk with up to about 0 outage, 0 downtime. And probably if you follow me over the last 10, 20 years, I'm addicted to this 0. I'm addicted to 100% in both ways. That's, I think, an ambition you have to give the people, and that you tell customers you don't let them down a second is a commitment that you have to prepare the organization for. And that's what we are going into again. That's the first thing I put on the map. The second thing is on the map that I put on the map is radical automation. And what we can't automate, and for instance in digital you can do testing, you can do coding with our AI factory in a high portion. What we can't automate, we try to offshore. The third thing that we put on the map is then also AI as the differentiator also in external market. And that addresses now the question of yesterday, which will lift the top line. I'm not going to disclose now the numbers. So Tim, I think you mentioned something in the 3-digit hundreds and so on and so forth. I'm not going to, I know that you need, that you drive us via this CMD a bit into ambitions, but I can tell you, next time, in 27, we will be here with a significant number on external revenue in the 3-digit of millions. So, and the last thing I put on the map is the collaboration part with being the differentiator for Klaus, for the group, for Jonathan, for Claudia, and more of it. That said, let's talk about the industries we are in. Those industries we are in, we want to be leading. Why are we leading in automotive? Because that's where our DNA comes from. We come from a GEDAS, which is Daimler, which is Volkswagen, sorry. We come from a DEBIS, which is Daimler. So automotive is our DNA, but we are not running after commodity business, because you might say, wow, automotive is under big pressure, and you're right. But those areas that we address with automotive, like this, the smart car or the software-defined car applications, that's a differentiator. That's where we are coming from. For Volkswagen, for instance, we do Otis. That's a system that's called that does all the car diagnosis around the world for all their Golfs. So those are the things where we have a clear advantage compared to others. And in those, we are growing, also growing this year. But of course, we are not naive. We are also looking that we shift into industries like public, like health, and I will show you some examples. So our clear footprint is where the industries are growing and where we have a right to play. That said, the one leg I'm standing on is cloud. In cloud, we have a good portfolio, which is from public through private into even sovereign cloud portfolio stack. But we are not just going in the infrastructure as a service, we are also giving a customer the whole architecture, how to get there. And here I give you, via an example, a nice pitch which is differentiating us. And this is going along a customer. Again, I use Shell. You might have followed that we are a sub-RISE partner. What's sub-RISE? SAP RISE is the cloud migration path to bring customers into the SAP cloud. So customers of SAP are forced to go more and more in the cloud, and sometimes even us as Telecom, we don't want to. We say, what's the reason for? It's good for SAP, what's in for me as a customer? And here comes T-Systems as a moderator. We are the only SAP RISE partner that is allowed to run the SAP cloud in our data centers. In those data centers like Frankfurt, where we also run Shell on our private cloud. And now I can talk to a Robert van Houten, who is the CIO, and say, look, whenever you have a business need to move something up into the SAP functional stack, then let's move it from the left side of the data center with us to the right side of the data center with us. And that is low risk. And that low risk sells. And that's differentiating in our cloud business to other elements. It's 55%. It's highly profitable in the meantime. The other leg is digital. On digital, we are not going for commodity things that you find on the lower base, like application management. You can do all of that via AI and bot and so on and so forth. We are going for the upper stack, like AI, combined with data. And here on AI and data, I want to bring the next version of what you have heard from my colleagues, from Tim to Srini to Claudia, all of the same saying, we take, make, and shape. But we as T-Systems can facilitate in an import and an export way. We can export what we experience amongst us, what Jonathan is building with Fragmagenda, with all of these bots, into banks, into insurance companies, wherever conversational AI is needed. But we can also import. Claudia, you mentioned the law monitor. That's a product that we as T-Systems did for Daimler, and now we export that to the whole automotive world, which checks what kind of regularity and legal changes have happened in the last hours, so that I, as a car manufacturer, probably have an issue with a product because the legal law might have changed. Very simple example. Did you know that if you have a car and you have this automatic closing system in the car, and every OEM, every automotive company has that, that since about a year, you are not allowed to run that on the back side of the car, on the back seats, if you have there somebody sitting below 12, under the age of 12 years. So you put yourself in loss, in jail if you don't know that, but you can't on a country by country level run every day a legal check. That's done by our law monitor, and that's one of the examples. What we do, we give customers advice how to use AI to improve their processes. We do it and we run it. We run it also on our infrastructure with the CPU power, with the data centers that Tim are going to disclose, etc., etc. And we do that on different foundation models. And we do that by industry, and then the appliance from chatbot to predictive analysis are different. Now, I could now sing you a long song about the 400 use cases that we have in AI. We have them for automotive, for public, for health. I picked one. One which is currently on our way to label it as a product. We are at the moment about to certify it. We did it with some hospitals. It's about the wound medication or the wound treatment in hospitals. 40,000 times a day, this is applied. And the problem that hospitals have is a lot of documentation, a lot of IT back and forwards and searching is necessary. For that, this process takes too long, 15 minutes. We did lower that, and I didn't have the money to make such nice videos like Uli yesterday, but let's have a look how with a simple foundation model we could bring something like Srini in the process down by more than 50%.
Today, doctors and nurses spend more than 30% of their time on administrative tasks. At T-Systems, we strive to free up time for better medical care using AI and connected mobile devices. For example, with 40,000 cases daily, wound documentation is an inefficient two-step process, prone to errors. In the first step, paper forms are filled in and photos are taken. In the second step, the data is transferred manually into the IT systems. Based on two specifically trained small foundational AI models, embedded on a connected mobile device, wound documentation only requires one simple step. Our aim, to increase efficiency by 50%. Improve medical care quality and gain more quality time for the patients. Some further examples show how we use AI to create much more benefits for medical care.
Even if it is a naive illustrative movie, I think it brings the endless hunger of companies for automation to the table, and that's where we can, with our knowledge, do a lot of B2B business, and that's what it is about. Now I talked about what we do, now how we do. I don't pick on all these numbers. You heard my clear commitment on zero outage, that's quality is king. We do radical offshore, increase to 80%. We do radical automation, and we will also leverage, that's the go-to-market, the different sides of accounts, whether it might be with Klaus, whether it might be in Europe, whether it might be also within myself from cloud to digital. All of that is then wrapped around in the point, how can we make that more visible and more applicable in the group? And we go in two steps. We are currently in step 1, wave 0, where Klaus and I already share our platforms, such as my T-Systems cloud version, OTC, Open Telecom Cloud, and he uses it for the mid-market channel. And in the same way, Klaus and I look into the account planning of the top 100 customers so that we don't miss opportunities like the one in Shell, the 25 million, and so on and so forth. And we are also looking for more and more expand and make our knowledge base being applicable for Claudia and so on and so forth. That's the name of the game that we call then T-Systems being a differentiator. All of that, at the end of the day, in an investor's call, can only be wrapped up by a commitment and numbers. And here are our commitments. We will contribute through clear growth to our B2B growth bench and couch here. And we will always be one step faster on the profitability side and really make sure we are not eating up other people's money. Thank you. Klaus, over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, also, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Let's talk about business. Let's talk about T-business in Germany. And when we do this, for sure, we also look back to the last 4 years. And it was already yesterday mentioned, yes, we have a growth rate of 1% in revenues and profitability. I think also in comparison what others telcos do, this is good, but this is not leading. This is not leading because we see a lot of more potential here. And I took over last winter this business, and now for sure we thought about what can we do better, where we can leverage really the full potential in our markets. But before we do this, let's have a look in our customer structure and where we are playing. You see on the left-hand side that we are covering 2.5 million customers. And the collaboration between Ferri and my team is related to public and large enterprise, because there we are playing together the entire portfolio for Deutsche Telekom. But in addition to public and large enterprise, we are serving the mid-market business and the small business. Mid-market, this is the Deutsche Mittelstand. Very, very important also for us because the competition is different there. We have a bigger pricing power in mid-market, and as well in small business, we have a bigger pricing power. So these markets are separately to define. And the 2.5 million customers we are serving, we want to grow them. And our coverage is in 22 countries, and we are able, due to our partner ecosystem which we have, to serve every customer around the globe with every service. The customer satisfaction is super high with 82 trim points at the moment, and for sure we want to continue to do this because we have the best networks. You have heard this from Claudia and Abdu. We have the best products and we have the best service also in B2B. And when we look at our portfolio, and this chart is super simplified, it's super simplified, this portfolio, but it shows that we start with the connectivity, the core. This is our fiber platform, which grows every day, which is good for us as well. And it's the superior mobile technology and the mobile network which we have, so 5G in Germany, and this really great network which we have is really the foundation of our business there. And then we define it as near core. We have a big cybersecurity installment. We have more than 1,700 security experts in DT. Not all in Germany, we are doing this around the globe. And just recently, we had to increase our security operations center because we have now so many customers that the old one was not big enough. So we opened a new one, a new SOC, because cybersecurity is very important for our business. And in every customer dialogue where you go in, you speak about security. How can we do this better? Can you help as DT, because you have this big ecosystem, how can you help us to come to a better stage on security? And for sure we are talking about IoT and cloud and customer digitization. Especially in the mid-size business, there is not a big CIO organization that say, okay, now we do this and this and this and that. Very often we as DT, we are the consultants and we are helping these customers, these clients in their digital transformation to go the next steps. And for sure AI and systems integration we do for our customers here specifically. And when Srini yesterday mentioned that we have further potential, you see on this chart, we have mentioned where we do see further potential. At the moment, in every of the 4 segments plus digital, we are growing already now. But we want to accelerate this growth in public, in large, in medium, in small, and digital. And digital services we give to all of our customers, but the specifics of the segments are really clear. And in public sector, for example, we are doing great in mobile. We are doing together great in IT, but we see further potential when it comes to the municipalities. We see further potential in defense. And for sure, we as Deutsche Telekom, we are the natural partner for the public authorities. And look at the degree of digital transformation in Germany. We are just at the beginning. So we will help there as well in the public sector to make this happen. In large enterprise, we are great in doing mobile services. We are gaining market share in mobile in large enterprise. We won at the beginning of the year. We have taken over Bayer into our best network, and we are doing this constantly because we have the best network and we want to monetize this. But we see further potential in fixed line in the large enterprises because in the last 5 years we have lost market share. Because the team tried to manage all the old MPLS, but then over time they have lost these deals to others. But we will do it differently in the future. Every customer who has MPLS, we will bring into the new situation with SDX solutions, and we sell him something on top. So security, SASE solutions, so that it is not a declining business for us any longer. We want to grow further in large enterprise. Medium business, only a small portion of digitization is done there. If you look at the situation, how much of the business is already cloudified, how many AI projects they have, they're only at the beginning of this digital journey, and we will help them to go and to go to the next level in medium business. Small business, for me, it is clear we want to grow as fast as we are doing already in B2C in Germany. Why should we, for the small business customers, not grow like Wolfgang Metzer and his team is doing, because it's the same fiber platform. And we have this great, the great situation also here that we use the same sales teams for doing the small businesses here as well. We see a lot of potential in small business with FTTH, for example, but also to do the cross and upselling in mobile as well. In digital, you see IoT, security, cloud, and AI. They are all growing at 10% and more. So this is for us very important that we can use this to accelerate in the different kind of segments the growth here. And just to give you a flavor about what we're going to do in these different kind of areas, in secure networking. For example, in large enterprise, we have defined 185 accounts where we say our share of wallet is not good enough. We are maybe good at mobile, but we have nothing in fixed. This can't be true. And then together with Ferri, we go to the customer and we have everything in our basket. We have the connectivity in mobile and fixed. We have a cloud solution, we have AI, we have security, we have IoT, we have everything. And so then you come into the dialogue with the customer, and yes, you do not sell everything to them, but you sell something. One piece, two pieces, and over time we get a higher penetration in these accounts. It works already after the first quarters quite nicely, and secure networking is one example. Broadband fiber, to be honest, we as business, we have not yet started here. We had first to do our homework in getting the IT systems up and running so that we can do the work. But look, last year, for example, we sold the entire fiber connection to Lidl, one of the biggest retailer in Germany, and they bought from us, please fiberize all my stores, everything, because I needed to do this, to bring the services to the customer, but also to the employees of the retailers. And we are doing this right now for every retailer in Germany. There's the Aldis, the Reves, and all the folks out there. We will do that. And at the beginning of broadband and fiber, where we are, we take these customers on the road because they know this will not be done overnight. But they say, hey guys, you as DT, you are my natural partner here because you will have the biggest network in Germany. And so it is clear that these guys are in dialogues with us so that we do more business in broadband and fiber. And in mobile, we are clearing, also this year, we will take in a lot of net new customers. The big ones, but also in the mid-size and also in the small business. The net inflow of customers is very strong. And this is also the reason why our mobile service revenue is growing so strong, and we will not stop. Because, yes, in some areas we already have a market share of above 60%. But it is not 100. It is not 100. We have the best network outside. And look, if you only imagine what we will do on the network modernization, if you look at our brand, how strong we are, if I look at my sales teams out there, why should we not gain more market share out there? This is what, on a day-to-day basis, is going on in mobile, and we will continue to do so. And then in the so-called digitization services, we have a lot of opportunities in IoT, in security, in cloud, and in AI. And here, for example, the collaboration is playing out. Why should I own cloud services? I use the ones Ferri is producing. I just take them out of the shelf and sell it to my customers here. And in AI, we're doing this as well in a close collaboration. He is doing the bigger stuff. And if we have really a small customer, then we have also SI resources to have an AI solution there as well. So we are doing a great combination of all forces here for our customers. In security, it's us who are providing this platform. The 1,700 experts, a big ecosystem in security with leading tech partners, for sure. We combine the tech partners, the Palo Altos, the Fortinets, the Ciscos, and the Microsofts, for sure. But de facto, we are orchestrating this for us and our customers. And this is a big place where we can grow in the future a big time, and we will do so, especially because we have so many customer dialogues at the moment. We were recently at the Digital X in Cologne. We had 50,000 customers in Cologne over 2.5 days. And you speak with every one of them about security. All of them speak about security. They were in the master classes. We have offered master classes, small rooms. Just imagine where you were 20, 30 years ago in your class. People like you were sitting there on the ground because we had not enough space, because we were overbooked there, because they want to understand how is AI doable in mid-market. What can we learn from security for my company? And this was really a great initiative, Digital X again, to speak also about this. We did also this together with Ferri, and so the customers, they came to us when they wanted to talk about connectivity. They went to Ferri if they wanted to talk about cloud and AI, and for sure we do this kind of services together. But the revenue is only one piece. When we want to drive the profitability up, not only the structure of the revenue has to come into our favor, but also the net margin. We have 2.5 billion direct costs. And also here, there's a lot of potential which we want to grab in the future. So we will increase the net margin in our business. And why I'm so optimistic on that, we have also changed our incentive scheme. In the past, it was revenue, and it was not differentiated about the profitability behind this revenue, and there was no margin included. We have changed this. The new system is, for sure, a mobile or fixed line service which has a super high margin, has more value than I would say, Microsoft license, which you sometimes also sell. And every seller out there has now a net margin target. So he thinks about, what do I sell? And this is one of the reasons why we believe we can do better in the net margin as well. But then on top, we will go also on the IDCs with the organization, portfolio, IT, and delivery. Because when I took over last winter, I saw this company is too complex. It is too slow. And the people gave me the feedback also in hundreds of rounds, we are too complex. Our processes are not good enough. And this is the reason why we go hard here. The organization in the overhead will be reduced by 35%. More than 400 people we are taking out right now. It is decided, it is negotiated, it will go into the implementation with the 1st of November this year. The portfolio, it's too big. When we look where do we make our money with, we have a long tail of portfolio components with a super slow revenue. We do not need this any longer because this drives complexity for the sellers, for the people in the delivery, in the IT. So let's take them out. Let's take them out. This makes our life easier. It makes the life faster for our customers, and is also better for our employees. And this is also true for IT. For sure, incumbents always have a very fragmented IT, but we also will take care about this. We will drive costs out. We will take out the legacy systems. And for sure, we will use the new technologies, digitization, automation, and also AI here, because this is very important for us. And then we have a delivery for our 2.5 million customers. And I'm really proud that these guys deliver this superior quality. Because you do not get a customer feedback of 82 trim points if you have a bad delivery. This is a superior delivery. But when you go into the detail, this is far too much fragmented. We do not use enough the digital advantages of AI here, and as well also a cleanup of the IT systems, and also the organization behind this piece is not yet streamlined enough. We believe we can do this better. 25% efficiency we can do here in delivery. And this altogether, we do not because we want to save money. Yes, we also want to save the money. But it will be better for our customers turning customers into fans. This is what is our aim. We are good on customer satisfaction, but we can do better in the specific areas where we are. So we want to improve the customer satisfaction because this drives stickiness. We want to have a higher satisfaction from the employees as well. Because the employees, they do not like to work with old-fashioned processes, and they do not like to work with IT systems which are outdated. So we also want to do this for our customers and the employees, and for sure we are doing this for the P&L. This is great. And the good news is, I was in my earlier life the CFO of Telekom Germany, and we went to similar cases together with Ferri through this exercise in B2C already. So we have taken out in the B2C service in the last years tons of money, and in addition we have increased the customer satisfaction and the employee satisfaction. So what we're just saying, we do it again. We do it again. This is what we want to do on execution of our and driving the simplification in our company. And last but not least, this will then lead to a higher revenue growth, and it will lead to a higher EBITDA growth. This is clear. EBITDA will grow faster than the revenues. This is clear. We believe we have a lot of potential in the markets to drive the revenue up. In the combination of net margin improvement and the structural impact which we will generate, you will see that the profitability will contribute more. And this is the reason why I'm really confident that we are able to do that. We will focus on this execution, and with this I will end and say thank you very much.
Thank you, Klaus. And for me, it's a pleasure being here today and have the opportunity to talk to you about all the progress and the results that we've been having in Europe as well for B2B, but also to talk about the future and what we want to do in this new CMD period. So let's start by looking back indeed, and let's review what has happened. And I'm really glad to say that we have been experiencing a very strong acceleration of our growth in Europe. That means that we have not only delivered this 2% on revenue growth that we promised in 2021, we are delivering this 3.3% at least. And for me, what is very important to say as well, this is not just growth, this is profitable growth, as you can see on the profitability numbers there as well. And this is really a very key, a very important indicator that the business is growing very healthy. And yesterday we were talking about some of these pillars in our strategy around how we can do sustainable growth and at the same time to do this continuous transformation, or how can we do the long-term orientation and the short-term execution. So I really believe that a lot of these elements have already been put into practice in Europe. And just to go through some of these achievements. On mobile, we had a very solid growth, both in the base and the value. On fixed, we were kind of flattish, not doing that good, and we managed a very successful turnaround, and we are already now into solid positive numbers. In ICT, back to the scale, we have been driving with all the countries a very consistent strategy around all our portfolio and the key elements where we see the growth. And on top of that, a very important piece of our strategy was digitalization. We have already been incorporating very important piece on digitalization when it comes to our sales and service channels. And T-Business has been our identity already for 2 years, being the partner, the trusted partner for digitalization for all our customers with global campaigns we have been running all together. But also what makes me feel very excited that all of this has been happening at a time where the conditions and the situation in Europe were pretty challenging, with very high inflation, with the competition getting more and more intense, and with all these changes that are happening all the time in technology that are forcing us to be on top of that all the time. So let's look also into what makes us unique in Europe, what makes us different. And that is also the case in B2B. We have the established players, we have the challengers, and all of this richness has helped us create this winning strategy, because we are balancing the scale and the unity of getting all together, and at the same time, the freedom and the independency that these countries need. So just going through some of these elements, the T-business identity, as I explained, connecting already 2 to 3 million customers in Europe, and now also extended to Germany, Klaus and myself, all united under the T-business umbrella. The harmonized strategy, understanding what are the drivers of this profitability, of this growth, and driving those together with the countries around connectivity, around cloud, around security. Centers of excellence, Dominique was referring to that yesterday as well, how we have been picking specific elements in our footprint, countries that are already advanced in some of these elements, and investing on those capabilities and extending those on the benefit of all the markets. And this unique governance as well. We were talking about what elements we can then scale horizontally, the platforms, the products that we can drive across, but also what elements need to stay vertical. The connection with the customers, the channel, the operations have to happen in the markets, and they need this independence as well. Very pragmatic, as we were saying yesterday, on how we run the operations. And then when we talk about T-business, we are and we want to continue being this trusted partner for the digitalization of our customers. And then when we talk about customers, we need to realize customers have very different needs. We cannot put all the customers in the same pot. Customers have different demands, and that's why it's important we tailor-made and we adjust our portfolio, our products, our go-to-market, our channels to these customers. Starting with the SME, the small medium enterprise, already a very significant portion of our revenues, 45%. These customers are looking for simplicity. They want to have one-stop shop where they can buy all the communications, telecommunication needs, but also the digital applications. Here we are building on the strong foundation of our Magenta One business portfolio, our converged package, and on top of that we are giving the bundles with all the tools, the digital tools those customers need around collaboration, productivity, digital presence, e-commerce, and of course security. Then moving into enterprise segment, 33% of our revenues. Here we are focusing on bringing a scale again, bringing solutions that we can replicate across many different customers, but also across the countries. We are again building on the foundation of our premium connectivity and then focusing on IT solutions that we can do in specific verticals that we are strong in our markets. Here already 40% of our revenues in this segment comes from IT. And the public sector, super important as well. Here we see a tremendous push from all of them, from all the countries, wanting to digitalize. When it comes to the infrastructure, when it comes to the process, that means here we have also a lot of opportunities together with them, and we have already been capturing more than 500 million in our countries when it comes to the European funds. When it comes to now from customers, let's say, to portfolio, and I would like to start with the connectivity. And here we're talking about the managed network solutions, the connectivity for our fixed enterprise customers. And we have seen a lot of evolution in this domain from moving from the traditional MPLS towards the SD-WAN. We've been talking about that. We have been embracing all these changes already for a long time. We have more than 10,000 connections already live in our networks using this new technology. And for us, it's not only the opportunity to bring flexibility and scalability to our customers, but also opening a lot of revenue opportunities for us, because we can upsell as well the services we provide in the branch of our customers with SD Wi-Fi, with SD LAN, and so on. In this connectivity business, we are growing 6% in Europe. But also we're talking about how can we monetize our assets on the mobile and the fiber. And here again in Europe, we are already leaders when it comes on how do we monetize our 5G network. With more than 40 sites, 40 customers already live on 5G campus across manufacturing, across logistics, harbors, ports, mining, many different use cases. And it's not only providing infrastructure with superior quality of service, it's also providing the use cases on top of the technology. This is really what brings as well the value to the customer, opening opportunities for automation, for real-time data, and all kinds of new ways to make their production much more effective. And of course, fiber. Here, also very important for us in Europe, is not only the fiber rollouts we do on business parks or industrial areas, but also how we are monetizing the fiber to the home investments with 12% growth that we already have on our SME customers when it comes to fixed broadband. After connectivity, which is of course the first layer, the foundation of all the services we provide to our customers, we have the whole IT portfolio on top of that. And I would like to start with the base of this pyramid, which is the data center, the cloud computing, which is again the base for all the services we can provide on top. With more than 40,000 square meters, we were talking about that yesterday, across Europe. And here we also see a lot of revenues and also a lot of success, moving from the traditional colocation business into more advanced services, IaaS, PaaS, private hybrid cloud, which we have already been doing in our countries for many years. And on top of that, security by design, we have been talking about how important that is. We are embedding security on all the portfolio that we have. We have a relatively small team, 150 experts, but already very experienced in our markets, which we are complementing with our colleagues of TSEC in Germany. And the cherry on the top, of course, AI, because for AI you need all these layers. You need the foundation on the cloud, on the data, on the infrastructure, the security, and the AI coming on top of that, which is we are already providing to many of our customers across our markets. But of course, it's not only the portfolio and the customers, it's very important how we are also transforming digitally. And here I would like to start with digital sales, working very closely with Jonathan and his team, because here we are using the same capabilities we already have in the markets with one app and one shop. We have enhanced those with the extra functionalities and the features that our B2B customers need. And we are already providing those digital channels for our customers, giving a much better customer experience and engagement, and also a lot of efficiency for us as well, with 10% percentage points increase when it comes to the retentions online already. Digital service, digital care, also very important. Customers don't want to do the administration on the phone or with the account manager. They want to do all of that digitally. Here we have been building on the strong foundation that we have in Poland with the self-care portal they delivered, already managing 80% of the care transactions of our customers digitally. Another beautiful example of how we are scaling things horizontally, because the same portal, we are taking that now to all the rest of the countries in Europe. But internal digitalization also at the core of our strategy. We were talking about the delivery, how we need to automate, how we need to make that much more efficient. So we are doing that for sales, but also for the fulfillment automation. And just an example, we have been implementing one Salesforce for all our countries together, giving us a lot of these efficiencies, but also a lot of commercial benefits with this 5% increase that we see on the pipeline value from the beginning of this year already. And the centers of excellence, as I mentioned, we want to use the great opportunities and the great assets we already have in the markets with great expertise that we have. And I realized when I came in the company just 2 years ago that it was a pity that it was only being used in the benefit of that country, and we were not taking that to the further scale. So here we have now 6 centers of excellence operational, 2 in Czech Republic with Industry 4.0 and Campus Network with a great expertise they have in the country, and also SDX being one of the pioneers rolling out that technology. In Croatia, SME digital proposition, from here we are creating the blueprint and how we can help the markets then roll out the digital propositions for the SMEs, and also in the smart cities with a great expertise on how they are developing very advanced solutions for cities and municipalities. And then on cloud and security, distributed across a number of countries as we are doing that in several centers. All of this is bringing us a lot of speed to market, a lot of innovation, and a great way to use all these experts, as I said, for the benefit of the full footprint. And with this, I would like to set the ambition for this new period. I think we have all the ingredients in place. We have the right plans, the right strategy. The performance is accelerating more and more. And I think we have the right collaboration, the right drive, and the right energy across all the markets, all together, but also with our colleagues in Germany. So with this, we believe we can continue delivering at least this 3% growth when it comes to the service revenues and the profitability. And I would like to close with the customers. Of course, the most important part, we want to be, of course, number 1 in all our markets across our footprint. So thank you so much.
Great. Thank you all. I think it's good to see how we, trying to come from a position that's quite good to acceleration and how we use collaboration and digitization to get there. So I think that's very exciting. We have a break in 15 minutes, but before we do Q&A, so Polo, I start with you.
Hi, it's Polo Tang from UBS. Just a question for Klaus in terms of Germany. You mentioned you lost share in large enterprise. So what makes you confident that you can turn things around, and who have been the main players taking share in this segment?
So first of all, this has not happened overnight or the last year. It was a deterioration which already started when this business was with the systems, so some years ago. And we have seen that other players came in with their SDX solutions, and then we had the situation that the contracts were discontinued. But we have now done our homework, so we have a SDX portfolio which is super, super good. We also have to streamline this because we have too many at the moment. We will go with 5 of these components, and the situation is now that also the contracts expire with the customers. So the first contracts which we have lost 3-4 years ago, they now expire, and because we never lose the entire customer relation to a big company, because we are still usually there with mobile, we are still usually there with IT services, so we have a good CRM there. So we believe we can regain this market share as well. For sure, there's a different kind of way how we go on with pricing. Yes, this cannot be like you tried in the past, have the super high price and then you win nothing. So for sure, we have rebalanced this as well, and it's also go-to-market. It's go-to-market because when I look at the 185 accounts, for example, it is clear that we also have to take more effort in this. The organization was, I would say, very good in farming the customers, but in hunting new logos and new opportunities, this was not in a good shape. So we are changing this. So we are taking people on this. We are going into the hunting modus in these accounts. And I see, yes, the sales cycles are a bit longer, so 1 year, 1.5 years, but we see already positive trends, and we have already won also new logos here in this regard.
Excellent. And just in terms of competition, was there any particular competitor that was gaining share from you in the past few years?
I would say this is not the single one. There was, I would say, a lot of them have taken something, and there is not a big one which is hurting us or has hurted us. So this is also the reason why we are confident that we can regain the market share, because there's not a single very strong player.
Emmet, next, please.
Yes, good morning, everyone. It's Emmet at Morgan Stanley. I have a question, please, on data centers. And I guess that's probably a question for you, Ferri. It's a question I've asked a little bit about a year ago. Obviously, building data centers is pretty expensive. It's roughly, I think, $10 million per megawatt just for the passive element, and goes up to $30 million per megawatt if you have an old singing, old dancing with GPUs. I think Tim has been quite clear in the past he doesn't want to enter into an arms race, especially with AWS, who are putting tens of billions into Europe. So can you maybe just run through how your kind of more smart CapEx model works in terms of providing data center and cloud capacity to your customers, please? And then the second question is on the subject of data sovereignty. Obviously, this is a subject that's growing in terms of importance with big changes in geopolitical environment. And I think it's pretty widely known that German clients and Swiss clients in particular are very focused on having data privacy, data sovereignty. Is this an area where you see a big growth in demand, and are customers willing to pay a premium for, we'd say, sovereign cloud solutions as well? Thank you.
Yeah, to the first one, we reduced even our data center space over the course of the last years, as you might have seen, down to 16. We own and we are invested through DT Capital in companies that do these data centers for a living. And it's much more smarter if we then say, let's have them invest and refill their data centers with knowledge and also with customers. And that's the strategy. Therefore, we are not going to get into the concrete business. Does that answer the question clearly? Good. On the sovereignty thing, I think this becomes, with not just geopolitically, also in the public sector, the differentiator per se. We have at the moment a very good portfolio. So we have our OTC, which is per definition sovereign. That's what we sell, that's what Klaus is selling. And then we of course go, for instance, also with Google sovereignty version, which is also, do the customers pay premium? I would rather say they don't go for the other solutions on the mid and long term. And so it becomes differentiating. It is per se also then having its price on Google, for instance, on OTC. We will see whether we make that a markup or not.
Can I just ask just a very quick follow-up? Obviously, data centers are big emitters of CO2 and huge users of energy. I come from Ireland, where data centers are using, I think, 21% of the national grid. Can you say a few words about data centers and the usage and tying it back into Tim's target to be kind of carbon neutral by 2040? Because if you look at Google's report last year, I think their data center emissions have gone through the roof. I think they're up roughly 58% in the last 5 years. So does data centers make it more difficult to meet your targets?
You have seen that, I think it was this week that we got an award in ESG as being at the moment the number one, also fulfilling that. That includes also our data center business. So it's within that and it's for the thing that since years we tried not just to use green power, that's easy, but to lower the efficiency, the PUE, the percentage of energy that you use, that factor, which is the industry standard around 1.2, 1.3. That's the vicinity in which our data centers are. And by the way, just on the side mark, I was once even having that as a kind of my personal fetish, like a zero outage, I must say, that we had in Munich. We were the world record holder on PUE. We did have really, and you can check that out, and data center with 0.99. So that is more or less generating energy, if you like. That was an artificial example, but it shows how much focus we are paying to that. And not just for ESG. It's money in the balance sheet. It's OPEX. That's why I'm driving that like hell.
Okay, good. Mathieu, please.
Good morning, Mathieu Robillard from Barclays. Thank you for the presentation. I had a question on the financials. Excuse me. So you're guiding for revenue and EBITDA growth around the same pace, if I understand correctly, yet most of the growth is going to be driven by IT products, IT services. My understanding is that typically this comes with a lower margin, maybe 15, 20, whilst telecom is 30 plus. So how do you bridge the dilution from the revenue mix growth into the EBITDA growth? Is it some of the efficiencies you talked about, or are you seeing increasing margins in your IT business as you gain scale?
Maybe you can start. And
I can start from Europe. I think the key is how we are focusing on profitable products. So we are not focusing on reselling existing solutions, but how we can create our products or use our vendors that can help us create those products. So where we are not so much into the system integration business, which is more something we are not driving as well in Europe. We are more into how we can complement our connectivity with cloud, how we are moving, as I explained, from the colocation into services that give us much more revenue and margins around ES, PaaS, and so on. But also how we are building on security and then the AI. So it's I think, the combination of having the blend of all these elements together and not focusing on reselling, as I mentioned. In Europe, we did very much the same as Klaus was explaining. We already changed those metrics and those incentives as well into margin, because that's where we want to drive across all the markets. And for Europe, this is working very well. We are already going at the same pace. T-Systems was integrated in Europe already 4, 5, 6 years ago. So that's already what is playing very well on bringing all these elements together. And that is helping us grow increasingly on our margins and our EBITDA. Yeah.
Maybe in addition, it's a combination of different kind of measures. But look, if we drive, for example, the fiber utilization in small medium or in mid-market, this for us has a huge profitability because the network is built out. If we go on with mobile, where we see opportunities in all areas, but also especially in the small business and mid-market, we are able to do cross and upselling there. This is, I would say, pure profit for us. And for sure, also in IT, we have platforms. A security is already a platform. So there we do not have the typical low-margin IT piece, so we have already a margin. We have a platform. So we can use this platform, and with every customer, we take on this platform of security, you have really a great additional value. Or look at IoT. This is also a platform which we have generated, and we are using this more and more in Europe and also in the US. So this is generating additional value. So we have also in these IT pieces, we have really also the opportunity to generate high profits in there. And yes, it's also about the discipline to take out the, I would say, reselling and low margin stuff. But this is also kind of our work. Look, why should I sell from a good partner a piece where he only gives me 20%? I take him out. And I take then the sales resources and I sell fiber and mobile or security. We have the choice to do so. So we are also in the negotiations with our partners that we say, okay, let's find a win-win strategy. What we recently did with some of them, we can grow together, but then our margin has to grow over time as well because we making you also great. And this means in other areas where the partners are maybe not that good or they are not willing to give us the margin, we take them out.
If I can follow up just on the margin, could you share with us some of the kind of margins? I don't know if you look at EBIT or EBITDA in the different IT products. I know it's difficult because you have central costs and things like that. But if you could give us a bit of granularity, you just mentioned cyber defense, possibly a high margin product. I really don't have a sense of what are the different types of margins in the core products on IT.
Yeah. So it depends a little bit how you calculate this, but I would say in the classical TC business, where not so much of a solution or something like that is necessary, you have the classical 90% of margins. In mobile, you have typically 80, 85-ish. You can, I would say, build on that. In IT, if you do dump reselling, you maybe get 3 or 5. So let's take this out. Yeah, in some deals you may need Cisco routers to do the network piece as well, but we do not want to go behind 3% reselling margins. In other areas, when you have a partner, when you have a good deal, you may earn 20% or 25%. If you do this on your own in security and IoT, you can go beyond 50, 60% in this regard of the margins. Depends a little bit how labor intensive your work is. So if you have really labor intensive work, then you are limited in the margin. But in the area of security, we already have this ecosystem, and in IoT, we are far, I would say, ahead with our platforms. So this is not only the platform which we as DT have, it's also ones which we are using. And so these two platforms, for example, generate great profits.
Maybe I can just complement one thing. It's let's not forget the small medium business. That's the most profitable segment in the whole company. And the growth there, it's a big contributor to the growth of the B2B. So it's a really strong engine to run in the company. And it's growing and it's accelerating as well.
Okay, in the interest of time, take 2 more questions, Siyi, and then Adam. Sorry.
Hello, thank you very much. It's Siyi He from Citigroup. I just have a question on the digitalization journey of the SME segment. I think you said in your presentation only 15% that adopted IT digitalization. And also the adoption of cloud PBX in SME is also quite under-indexed compared to the European peers. And just wondering if you can talk us through why that's the case. I understand very complicated service provider layer could be one of them. And the second part of the question is, nevertheless, this market is growing, and we see some international SME specialists are actually doubling down the investment. So would appreciate you can share your thoughts of whether it's possible that DT can accelerate the transformation and ensure that in the end you can gain the majority share through this transformation process. Thank you.
In small businesses, the situation is as following. They do not really use fiber at the moment, and they use a kind of, I would say, mobile solution. And what our assessment is, with our growing fiber platform, we have 10 million fiber at the moment, and we will grow, as we have mentioned, day by day. This will be bigger and bigger and bigger. And we see that also the demand from these customers is growing every day because they want to have services, they want to have cloud services, they want to have digitization services, and this means, at the end of the day, they will need fiber, and they ideally get the fiber from us because we build the biggest network in Germany. And we have, at the moment, when we do the analysis of the customer base, which have today with us fixed line services, but no mobile, and have mobile with us, but no fixed line, there is still enough opportunity to grow in the next years with simple cross and upselling, which we are doing quite successful in our B2C space already, but why shouldn't we do this in B2B, in SME as well? So, and when we look at the customer demands, all of them, they are on our way to do kind of cloudifications. For sure, they will not use the OTC, but they are on their way to do the cloudifications. And there, we, as DT, have always the package for them to bring them into this cloud situation. So it's then, sometimes it's a Microsoft ecosystem, sometimes we use, for example, in voice, our partners to get the services there done. And the good news is, they usually do not have a IT department or something like that, but we have it. We have also so many people in Germany to do the fulfillment, because the operations from Srini entirely for Germany, the so-called Außendienst, the people out there, they are doing this not only for the private customers, they are also doing this for our SMEs. So a very, very important piece for the customers is they get from us the best connectivity, the best products, but they get also the best service. There's a person from DT always there, available. In Bavaria and also in the north, in the east and the west, we are there. We are in the regions, and so we are there for the customers to help them.
Adam?
Thank you. It's Adam Fox-Rumley from HSBC. Historically, one of the challenges to profitability in this space when selling to large customers is that bespoke elements start to creep in. And so I wondered if you could talk about how you're managing that, because I can see there being some tensions between trying to satisfy customers and needing to be bespoke in the solutions you provide. And then secondly, you've spoken a little bit about OpEx, but could you also talk about how the requirements for DT to spend CapEx are changing when you're winning business? Thank you.
I suppose both of the questions are a bit directed to me, but Klaus and Elvira just feel into it or not. First of all, what we learned, and that goes back in my times at SAP, and that continues also to be the reality also on the consumer side with Srini in the service business, and that's always the same. Invest in customers, that's by the way what the Flywheel says, and you will avoid that you have costs to fix it. And you will also limit the churn, and you will increase your revenue. That's a mantra I'm 100% believe in, and you can really materialize that. If I'm at the moment looking, for instance, on my digital side, yeah, our utilization is all-time high. It means we have no bench. So is that already all turning into revenue? No, because in some elements we still have to do things to fix projects and fix things for customers. If we get to zero outage, if we get to zero failure, we can make these people not doing the stuff again and again, like in the Außendienst or in the service, etc., but really satisfy first call resolution rate, you would call it in the consumer business, and therefore I'm 100% believer in the fact, invest in the customer, make the customer a fan, invest in quality, and that will pay out also in OpEx, also in financial, as you can take the people who fix things out and put it into other projects. Do I catch that point correctly, or you want more information on that?
I guess what I was thinking about was when you sell a product to a large corporate, typically there'll be a set of standard products that you're including for them, but customer A will also want this piece of bespoke tweaking to the solution that you would otherwise provide. And does that carry like a significant overhead still within the space?
I can add on that, because I think in B2B we have a very strong alignment, but also dependency on IT and how we build our products, the modularity that we bring on that.